In this video, I am going to deeply explain 5 important Java questions which were asked in Meesho interview. I will not just explain the question but also the entire concept. So it will be a revision for you guys and as well as an interview preparation. This video is free to watch. I just want your attention to stay by the end of this video and trust me, you will enjoy learning these concepts. So without wasting any time, let's begin. So on your screen you have your first interview question, which is a very important and a very popular question for Java, which says that you have to explain the access specifiers in Java, which is public, protected and private and as well as default. So if you are coding in Java, you must be familiar little bit about this keyword and you must have used it somewhere. But right now I am going to explain you in detail that what this keyword do and what this keyword actually means. So we will learn about public keyword, protected keyword, private keyword and the default keyword. This was an interview question which was asked in Meesho. So here comes the first keyword, which is our public keyword. So basically let me tell you before starting this question, this public, private, protected and default, these are our access specifiers. We use it in front of a class, variable or a function or a functions, right? So basically whenever you are defining a class, let's say class car, you can have an access specifier called public, private or protected, anything of your choice. And similarly, when you define a function, let's say void start, you can have similarly a access specifier. It can be either public, protected, private or default. And likewise, when you define a variable, you can have either of your access specifier. So the first access specifier that we are going to learn is the public. It's a very simple and a very straightforward specifier. So basically, whenever we define any method as public, or any variable or any class as public, it means that this class can be accessible anywhere in your project. Alright, it's a very important point that you need to understand, that everyone and everybody can access this class. Since it's a public means anyone from this project it can be in a same project, it can be in a same package, it can be in a different package, same method, different method, it doesn't matter. Everyone can access this functions or this class. So in the scope you will see it is accessible from anywhere within the same class or the same package or the subclass or other packages. Anyone can access. What are the use cases? APIs, utility methods or classes, whatever you want to expose globally. Okay, so anything you want to expose it globally, you will have to use public specifier. Let's move ahead and let's talk about protected. So protected is an important keyword as well. If you see this example, I have a class vehicle and inside this vehicle class I have a variable called as speed, and this speed is defined as protected. Now we have to understand that what is the scope of the protected. If I am defining a variable as protected, who all can access this variable? So first of all, only 3 points that you need to remember is the same class. Anyone from the same class can access the variable protected. Anyone from same package can access the variable protected, and any subclasses, if it is there, they can also access the variable. So literally, basically you need to understand, if we have a class vehicle and if there is one more class car which is extending the vehicle, then this class can basically access this speed variable because it's a protected variable. So since it's a parent-child relationship, the child can always access the parent's variable, protected variables, and any other class which is in the same package, they can also access this variable. Alright, so what is the use case for this? So whenever you want to share the functionality with subclasses but hide it from the unrelated classes. So basically when we say that everything inside the same package can access it, it means all the same classes of the same type are in the same package, and if there is some different package, they cannot access it. It means we are hiding the data from different packages, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Third, we have the third type of variable, which is a private variable. What is the scope of private variable? It is accessible only inside the same class. And what it is used for? It is used for encapsulation. It means data hiding. This encapsulation basically means it's a data hiding. So it's one of a pillar of our OOPS. Data hiding. It's one of the pillar of OOPS. So basically, let me tell you first of all. Let's say we have a class account and we have a variable called as balance. Okay. Now, imagine I don't want to expose this variable to other classes. I have, let's say, one more class, class A, and I have, let's say, one more class, class B. Okay, and both of this class are in the same package wherever account is. All right. So if we define it protected, obviously class A can access this. If we define it private or anything else, public, anything public or protected, then class B can also access it. But I don't want that class A should access and change the value, and I don't want class B should access and change the value. So I will make it private. Okay. So whenever I am making this class as private, the only person who can change this value is this class only. No other can change the value. And then I have a function called as get balance. Okay. So if, let's say, class A wants to get the balance, it means wants to access the value of this variable balance, he or she, class A, can basically use this get balance function. Class A can call get balance function over here, and he or she, the class A, can get the balance. You can see the get balance is public, so it can be accessed from everywhere. But we have not defined set balance right now. It means I am not allowing class A or class B to set the balance, right? That's why this is how we have encapsulated. So have you understood what changes we have done? Basically, since we have made it private, now we are not allowing anyone to read or write on this variable. But I wanted that someone can read the data. I don't want someone could write on the data. So that's why I have taken a function get balance, and now if someone wants to read the data, that someone can call get balance and read the data, but that someone cannot write this data, right? Cool. And the last but not the least, default keyword. Default keyword. So basically, default is basically whenever you don't define anything in front of a in front of a function or in front of a variable or in front of a class. If you don't define anything, Java automatically treat it as a default and it assign it as a default access specifier. Now, what is the scope of default access specifier? The scope of default access specifier is package private. So only package private means the only classes which are in the same package, they can only access this variable, or they can only access this function, or they can only access this class. No other classes from different packages will be able to access this variable or access this function. So it's a very important use case that you need to learn, and it can also impress the interviewer if you are making it very clear that you understand the difference between private, public, protected and default. All right, what is the use case? It is used for grouping related classes inside one package while hiding from outside code. All right, so with this we have completed question number 1. If you have any doubt, you can definitely comment. I reply to every comments. And with this, let's move ahead to question number 2. So in question number 2, the interviewer will ask you that explain me the difference between method overloading and method overriding. This is also a very popular interview question and a very important interview question, and it's very straightforward and very simple. Let me explain you. You just need to understand the difference between overloading and overriding. Before going to the definition, in just simple English, what do you understand by overloading and what do you understand by overriding? If you see it, overloading means we have something and we are loading it with extra materials, right? But in terms of Java, it is just extra data. or extra variable. So what we are doing, we are overloading with extra data or extra variable. And to whom we are overloading? We are overloading the functions. Always remember, the term overloading and overriding is related to functions or method, whatever you say. Alright, cool. Now let's understand the first and the simple one, which is called as method overloading. It is also called as compile time polymorphism. So polymorphism, basically it is also a pillar of OOPS. So if you understand polymorphism clearly, it will be very easy for you to understand method overloading and method overriding. Polymorphism. So polymorphism means many. So it is just a way to use our function in many forms. Alright, to understand this, I have an example for you. For example, you have a class calculator, and inside this I have defined a function add. Okay, and what we are doing, we are passing two variables a and b, and what we are returning a plus b. Right, cool. In the same class we have another function add. Remember, just notice one thing, that this add and this add both are same. I have defined both of the function with the same name, but the only difference is over here is the type has been changed. If you have seen here, we were taking int a and b. Now we are taking double a and double b. Alright, and again we are returning a plus b. And now we have one more function. So we have this function number 1, function number 2, and function number 3. Now we have one more function int a, int b, and c, and now what we are returning a plus b plus c. So now if you have noticed, you will understand that here int a, int b, only two parameters were there. Now how many parameters are there? Three parameters are there. Here how many parameters are there? Two parameters are there. But the difference between this is int, this is double, this is again int. So what I want to say is, you can have many forms of a function. You can just change the parameter and have many forms. Always remember, the function name should be same in case we are doing function overloading. Alright, cool. So if you see, I am now calling add function. If I pass 2 and 3, it will call my function number 1, since this is an integer with two parameters. Now 2.5, 3.5, since it's a double value, so it will call my function number 2, and 1, 2, 3, since there are three parameters, it will call my function number 3. So this is what method overloading is. Alright, let's move ahead. And now let's understand method overriding, which is also known as runtime polymorphism. So whenever a subclass provides its own implementation of a method that is already defined in parent class with the same name, same parameters, and same return type. Alright, so basically you need to understand method overriding is only possible whenever there is inheritance. So if I have a class A, alright, and if I have another class B which extends A, and now A has certain function which B can extend or which B can implement. And this can also done with the help in interfaces. Then method overriding is possible. So it must be in different classes. The major important differences are it must be in different classes. Access level cannot be more than restrictive than the parents. Then access level should not be private. Must have same method signature and resolved at runtime. That's why it is also called as dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. We see an example over here. We have a class animal and we have a function sound over here. And now what we are doing is, we have another class dog which is extending this animal. And now you can see we have this annotation @override. And now with the help of this annotation, you can see the parameters are same. There is no changes in the parameter. There is no change in the function name. The only thing is here the implementation was different. It says animal make sound. here the implementation is different. It says dog barks. Alright. So whenever you create animal A equal to new dog and you write a dot sound, it will give you dog barks, because you have created an object of type animal. Alright. But you can see this dog, right? What you have created an object for class dog, and that's why it give you this particular result. If you have created over here a new animal, it will have given you that animal makes a sound. Alright, so this is how polymorphism works, and the two types of polymorphism are. Cool, let's move ahead to our third question. So here we go with our third question, that is the final keyword in Java on variables, method and classes. So interviewer will ask you I ask you to explain the final keyword and what are its impact on variable, method and classes. So we go ahead and we talk about the impact of final on variables or the constant. So once you have assigned final variable, it cannot be reassigned. For example, we have a variable max speed over here and we have assigned final to here. It means now the value of this max speed cannot be changed. If you try to change the value, it will give you a compile time error. Alright, and this will not work. So if it's a primitive, its value cannot be changed, and if it's an object reference, it means if you are referencing some object, something like this, animal A is equal to new animal. So this is how we create an object. So if it is referencing some object, you cannot reassign it to another object, but the object's internal state can be changed. For example, if this object has been already created and if you mark it as final, so now this A cannot be reassigned to some other object, but the object can itself be changed, right? Final method, it means the method cannot be overridden. A final method cannot be overridden by any subclass. And then we talk about final class. A final class cannot be extended or inherited. It is used to prevent inheritance and protect implementation. Example, java.lang.string, it is a final class and it cannot be changed, but it because it's protected. Basically the implementation is protected over here, right? Cool. Let's move ahead to our fourth question. It's a very interesting question which says what is thread and what are the ways to create a thread. So in very simple term, a thread is just the smallest unit of execution within a process. A Java program, so basically whenever you write something like this void main, whenever you write something like this, a new thread is created. A thread is basically a part of CPU which executes your program. Basically, if you write certain functions and to run those functions, we need a part of CPU, and the thread will go and it will call the CPU. So a Java program starts with main thread, that one run public static, okay, and multi-threading lets you run multiple tasks concurrently. All right. How can you create a thread? You can create a thread with two ways, either by extending the thread class, or you can also implementing the runnable interface. You can also create it by that. So to create with the help of thread class, you can just create your thread. You can name it anything, but you should remember that it should extend thread. And remember, whenever you are extending the thread class, you need to override this function called run. Once you override this, then only your thread is completely created. So now you see, I have created this class my thread, and I have created an object of my thread that is named as t1. So I can do t1.start, and now here this is the starting point of my thread. And very similarly, you can create it using the runnable interface. You can just create your own runnable, and this should implement runnable, and same, it should also override the run function. And similarly, now you can also create an object of your thread, and now you can do t1.start. So this is how you create. Cool. Let's move ahead. So the last question is explain the difference between array list and the linked list and which one to use when. So basically array list, it's just an implementation backed by dynamic array. Array list is just nothing but it's just a dynamic array. The size can be changed anytime you want. The access time is O of 1, which you should remember at end, usually O of 1. And memory is less overhead, just array plus resizing. Alright, so this is how you create an array list. Array list of list is equal to new array list, list.add, list.add. Alright, and the last is the linked list. So basically it's the implementation of doubly linked list. So linked list is something like this, which is linked to your another node. Alright, and it's very simple to get and insert between a linked list. O of 1 memory head is only taken, and to create a linked list you just need to use this linked list and you write your name and new linked list. You can just add whatever you want and just print the list. So this is how we can create a linked list as well. That was all for this video. I hope you have liked the video. If yes, give it a thumbs up and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.